Well, hello gold lovers. Welcome back to my channel. Mike here. And this is going to be part 2 of dealing with what Jim says is gold ore that he sent me in a goodie box not too long ago. And I'll put a link to the video where I unpack his goodie box up in the upper right. You can check that out if you like. Now you'll have to pardon me. I'm still recovering from COVID. And my voice tends to get a little hoarse. I tend to do a lot of coughing. I'll try to edit out the coughing as we go. So, but I'm, getting cabin fever, tired of being in the house, so I'm back out in here in my lab doing a few, low-level things, not getting too crazy out here yet. I'm still recovering. But anyway, we've got this gold ore, or supposed gold ore. See here, gold ore from an 1890s mine in central Nevada, collected in 1978. Okay, so back in episode 1 where I was dealing with this stuff, and Jim sent me a great big rock, and it was really pretty. It was dark black, it was really heavy, and it had lots of veins of pretty golden sulfides in it. Looks like good gold ore. Back in episode 1, I looked at it really closely with my loupe, and I could see that those veins were sulfides. They weren't gold. Basically, iron pyrite, or fool's gold, is what that rock was full of. So I crushed it up enough to do some test panning on it, and I could find no free mill gold in it. No matter how finely I crushed that material and how carefully I panned it, there was no free mill gold. There was a lot of sulfides. Also figured out in episode 1 that this stuff is mostly magnetic. It is magnetite. So basically what Jim really had there was a big block of magnetite that had some veins of sulfide in it. And as I pull the magnetite away from this crushed ore, you can see the golden sulfides being left behind. Let me zoom in a little more on that for you. So here's the sulfides down here that are staying behind as I pull the magnetite away with the magnet. So what we really have here is some amazingly rich iron ore, but piss poor gold ore, okay? Now that's not to say that there isn't some gold hiding in amongst these sulfides. It's very possible there could be some. So what I propose to do is what I'm doing here with the magnet. I want to separate the magnetite from the sulfides and then do a smelt on the sulfides and see if we can find any gold hiding in them. But this isn't enough. I think I'm going to process what I've got left of the rock. Over here in this bag, I've got what's left of the rock, probably about half the weight of it here. So I'm going to have to crush this up really fine and then do like I was doing here in the pan and separate the magnetite from the sulfides. So I got enough sulfides that we can do a decent smelt on them and see if there's any actual gold hiding in this stuff, or if Jim got skunked, got scammed, got sold, a pig in a poke, gold ore that isn't actually gold ore. So that's what I'm going to do. So let me get set up to crush the rest of this rock, and we're going to do it a different way than I've done it before. I have a new toy. Let me show you my new toy. Okay, so here's my new toy. It's called a mighty mill, although it's not really all that mighty and huge, but it is quite powerful. What this is a flail mill. Now, I have said in several of my videos I'm building my own flail mill, and that is true. It's a monster. It's a big project. It's going to take me a while to complete, and it's going to be able to process huge amounts of material, not just gold ore, but also e-waste, okay? That project is coming along slowly, and I wanted a mill right now, so I went and bought myself a mighty mill. I will put a link in the description of this video to the eBay seller who sells these. He makes them and he sells them. Now, I'm not making any money off of this, so it's just, if you're interested, go check him out. Now, he doesn't always have them in stock. He makes them in batches, and they sell almost immediately. He'll announce a new batch is coming, and if you want one, you gotta order it then, because as soon as he finishes a batch, they're sold out. These things are quite popular. Now the way this works is there's some D-ring hammers in here that are going to spin insanely fast, and it's a hardened steel shell, and when you put stuff down the chute, it's going to come in here, those hammers are going to hit it, they're going to crush it up into a fine powder. Right now I am running it with a Ryobi corded angle grinder, although my plans in the future, you're going to see a lot of this mill in future videos, because I'm going to use this with a cordless grinder and take it out into the field when I'm out west, which I'm out west a lot, as you know from my videos. And one thing I like to do is sample the mine dumps of old gold mines, looking for gold ore that the old timers left behind. I'll be able to sample the stuff in the field. I won't have to send it home to crush it. I'll be able to crush it right there in the field and pan it out in the back of my pickup truck in a tub of water and see if there's any gold in the stuff, and if there is, I'll just load the truck up with ore. So that's my plan for the future. So you'll be seeing this in the future, but right now what we're going to use this for is we're going to use it to crush up the rest of Jim's supposed gold ore. Okay? So I'll show you how this works. Put a piece of ore in here, and that's it. That ore is now powdered. So let's do a few more pieces. Some of these pieces are going to be too big to get down the chute. I'll have to get my hammer out and bust them up. So we can do some of these smaller pieces. That one. It's just that easy. It's just that easy. Just a few more small pieces. Basically, if it'll fit, it'll grind it. Throw a few more pieces in. Yeah, that one I think will fit. Let's see. Alright. So, I'm going to grind up the rest of this rock. I'm going to have to stop and hit some of it with a hammer, beat it into smaller pieces. Alright, it's like I've been working on the chain gang here. I've been making little ones out of big ones with a hammer, so. Get the rest of this ground up. This is what I'm getting so far. Pretty good grind. There's a few big chunks in it, but most of it's a pretty fine powder. So let me get the rest of these fairly big chunks ground up. And we will move on. Alright, so here's the rest of Jim's big rock of supposed gold ore, all reduced to powder. So what I'm going to do is basically what I did with this. I'm going to try and separate out as much of the magnetite as I can and leave behind as much of the sulfides as I can. So I'll start on this, since I've already got it partly separated. And I know I'm dragging some sulfides over with the magnetite. What I might do is go through that again and see if I can leave behind some more of the sulfides. But I'm going to give it an initial processing just like this. And there we are. That is pretty much just sulfides right there. Got rid of the magnetite. So I'm going to take this stuff, pour it in this pan. Take some of this stuff, pour it in this pan, and do the same thing again. And just keep this up until I've got a fair amount of just sulfides over here that I can actually smelt. Yeah, I'm definitely dragging some sulfides over. I will have to go through that small pan again and see if I can leave behind some more of the sulfides. But wow, there's a lot of magnetite in this stuff. Just crazy. This is definitely iron ore, Jim. Maybe there's gold in it, maybe there's not, but there's sure as hell a lot of iron in it. You know, if there's a a lot of tonnage of this stuff in that mine. It'd be worth mining just for the iron. Okay. I think we got it. There's some more. So I'm just going to keep this up until I'm through all this stuff. And I'll probably go through that stuff again and see if I can liberate some more sulfides from all that magnetite. And get a decent amount of sulfides here that we can smelt. Okay, I've gone through all the material once, and here's all the sulfides I've got out. Now I know there's still a fair amount of sulfides in here, I can see them, so I'm going to go through it again, a little bit at a time, see if I can leave any more sulfides behind and add them to this. Might as well give myself the best chance of finding any gold that might be in here, so yeah, there's some more sulfides. Pulled over the first time, now I'm leaving them behind the second time. So I'll go through all this stuff one or two more times and see how much more of these golden sulfides I can add to the pile. Yeah, that was fairly easy, and got some more sulfides. Alright, cool. So I will keep this up, and you don't have to watch the whole thing. We'll be back when I'm done, when I think I've got all the recoverable sulfides out of this stuff. Okay, I've gone through this stuff 3 times with the magnet, and this is as much sulfides as I've got out of it. It's actually a fair amount. That's a fair amount of sulfides. So I think I've reached the point of diminishing returns. I'm not getting enough sulfides out to make it worth the effort to keep going through it. So we're just going to stop and go with what we've got here. So now we need to talk about ways to smelt this. And there's a couple of different possibilities. Could do something conventional, could roast this, roast these sulfides, turn them into oxides, and then smelt them with something like Chapman flux to see if we can get any gold out of them. Or there's something else we can try. Jim, who sent me this rock, actually suggested I check out one of Jason's videos over at Mount Baker Mining and Metal, where he's smelting sulfides a different way, using a highly basic flux and an iron rod to reduce the sulfides. So maybe we'll try that and see how that goes, just because Jim suggested it. So yeah, we can do that. See if we can actually get any gold out of this stuff. I don't know. So far, haven't seen any trace of actual gold. But hey, we can try. Okay, so let me get set up for smelting. Okay, before we get too far along here on working on mixing up our flux, let's see just how much sulfides we've got here. Oops, making a mess, but it's all going on the scale anyway, so I'll get that off. So about 214 grams of sulfides is what we've got. Okay, so now I will be able to mix up a flux to work with this, knowing how much we've got. Okay, I think I've got everything I need here to make up some flux. Now, Jim suggested I watch Jason's video. I did, and I wrote down the formula he uses. So basically, it's X amount of your sulfides, the same amount of silicon. So say we go with 60 grams of sulfides, we'll go with 60 grams of silica, and then 3 times the amount of the sulfides of soda ash or sodium carbonate, and then either an iron rod or iron nails. I think I'll go with iron nails because I've got a lot of them and they have a lot more surface area than an iron rod would have. So hopefully that'll work better for reacting with the sulfides. And I'm also going to use a little lead as a collector metal because I did not see any free mill gold in here. If there is any gold in here, it's going to be small, widely dispersed, so we'll use some lead as a collector metal, and then we'll cupel away the lead and see if we get any precious metal button left behind. So that's what I'm going to do. The only question is, how much am I going to do? Because Jason's formula, it really bubbles up. This stuff, as it heats up and melts, it just outgasses to beat the band, and boilovers are a big problem. I could use one of these fire assay crucibles, but I can't get very much material in it without worrying about it boiling over. I can't fill this up more than about 3/4 or even half full without worrying about it boiling over. Don't want to have a boil over. So I'm thinking I'll go with this larger crucible here, but I still don't think I can process all the sulfides at once. So what I'm probably going to do is I'm probably going to do it in several batches, at least if doing it the first time shows any promise. I mean, if I don't get anything out of it the first time, I'll probably just cut my losses and stop. You know, why waste the propane, why waste the chemicals if you're not getting anything? So the question is, how much of this stuff do I want to do? So I think if I do like 75 grams of this, and then 3 times that is what, 275 grams of this stuff, and 75 grams of this, and some nails, and maybe 15-20 grams of lead. I think that'll all fit in here without too much chance of it boiling over, especially if I heat it up slowly. So that's what we'll go for. We'll go for like 75 grams of this stuff. And hopefully that'll be enough to give us some indication whether there actually is any gold in this material. Okay? So let me start mixing it up. This on here. Zero it out. See if I can get about 75 grams of this stuff. Sulfide material. Okay. It says 72, but yep, 76. Okay, 76. That's close enough. 76 grams. So we'll put that in there. Okay. So what did I decide? 225 grams of this stuff. This is the soda ash. This is the stuff that's going to bubble up like crazy as it heats up. But it's going to give us the nice basic flux that we need. That's a bit much. Put some of that back. 20. Close enough. Okay. Put that in there. Yeah. We're not filling that crucible up too high, so that's a good thing. So I'm going to need 75 grams of silica. This is basically just finely sifted silica sand. So let's get 75 grams of that. Close enough, 76. That in there. And then let's do about 10 nails. Well, I'll put them in last. I'll put the nails and the lead in last. Let me mix this stuff up good. Pour it back and forth a few times. Okay. Alright, so let's see here. Lead. More between 15 and 20 grams of lead, I'm thinking. I think there needs to be more than that in this. $18, perfect. We're between 15 and 20, so we'll just throw this little bit of lead in there and about 10 nails. 2, let's see. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay, so hopefully that is enough iron to reduce all those sulfides. We'll see. Well, let's put this in the furnace and get it hot and see what we get. Okay, let's get this party started. This into the furnace. Furnace lit. Turn the heat down some. Heat it up slowly. We're less likely to have a boil over. Got a little piece of fiber here that I can use to close down the central hole and get more heat, but I can also open it up to cool it off. I'll be doing that as needed to prevent the boil over. In fact, I can even turn the fire down more or even off if it looks like it's going to boil over. So we'll let that heat up. I'll give you a look at it once it's molten. Alright, don't know how well that's showing up in there. It's very bright out here in the sun, but that is starting to bubble. So I'm going to keep an eye on it and make sure it doesn't boil over. Oh, it's really bubbling now. I do hope that's showing up. I'm trying to shade it so hopefully the camera can see what's going on inside. Wow, it's hot though. I gotta back off. It doesn't seem to be in any danger of boiling over at the moment, but I gotta keep an eye on it. It will take off on you sometimes. And you only got a minute or so to lower the temperature before you have a boil over. I pulled back the piece of fiber I used to constrict the outlet just because it looks like it's getting close to boiling over. In fact, I think I'm going to turn the heat down some too. Just to try and prevent a boil over here. It's getting close to the top of the crucible. Just let it cool down some until the worst of the outgassing's over. Ooh, that is hot! I gotta back off. Okay, let's see what that does. Okay, I'm using my stir stick to stir the material down, break the bubbles, because it's getting really close to boiling over. And of course, my stir stick is an iron rod, so it's just gonna help the process of converting any of those sulfides that aren't iron sulfide in there into iron sulfide. And it should dissolve in this highly basic flux we've got going on in there. And you can see how the end of my stir stick has been eaten down. That's not all from this particular run, but yeah. It's definitely undergoing some sort of chemical reaction in there. So that's okay. Anyway, as I keep this stirred, it doesn't want to boil over. But if I stop stirring it for a while, it starts bubbling up towards the top of the crucible again pretty quickly. So anyway, let me put my phone down before I drop it in the fire and make sure this doesn't boil over until it's pretty much down outgassing. Well, it's been a little while. The fierce bubbling has subsided a lot. It's just kind of fizzy in there. Got my stir stick staying up here so it stays hot so I can stir it without everything freezing out on it. Anyway, what I'm going to do now that the bubbling has subsided is I'm going to turn the heat up. I'm going to get this really good and hot so that we can get it degassed the rest of the way, and then once I'm ready to pour, it'll be good and liquidy because it'll be about as hot as I can get it. So let me turn the heat up, and we'll let this process go until the bubbling pretty much stops and the liquid lays down flat. Then we'll pour it. There, that should get it good and hot. Okay, we're getting late in this. It's getting close to being able to pour. It's not quite done fizzing and foaming yet. But I got some more nails here. I got 5 more nails. I put in 10 nails. That was kind of an arbitrary number. And I don't know that that was enough to get the job done. So I'm going to put in some more nails just to make sure there's enough iron in there to get the job done. Okay, and I dropped one at some point. Let me grab another nail and throw it in, so we got a full 5 more in there. Okay, let's get this stuff poured. I think we're ready. Ready as we're gonna be anyhow. That black scum on top, I think, is graphite from the crucible. And unfortunately, it's daylight out here, so you can't see the convection cells very well as they're cooling down. But it's kind of neat to watch when you can't see it. Okay, let me get the furnace shut down, and we'll let that cool off and see what we get. So this stuff is just wicked hot beyond all reason still. So it's solid, but it's still way too hot to deal with. So I got it sitting in front of my great big fan. We'll let it cool down until it's cool enough I can touch the outside of the cone mold with my bare hands. Then we'll dump it out and see what we got. Okay, this has been sitting in front of the fan for a while. Nice and cool to the touch. I want to make sure that the lead is good and solid, because there should be a nice prill of lead down at the bottom of this cone mold. And after I dump it out, it'll be at the top of the pyramid. But I want to make sure the lead is solidified before I do it. I don't want it to run all over the place. So let's see what we get. All right. Here's our lead prill. Covered with flux, but it's there. We'll have to weigh it up and see how much of our lead we got back. Put in what, 18 grams? See how much of it we got back. So I'm looking at the slag here, and there doesn't appear to be any matte. So that tells me that all of the iron sulfide got dissolved in the slag, in the flux, and any those sulfides that were not iron sulfide, like maybe chalcopyrite or arsenopyrite or whatever, were converted into iron sulfide and dissolved in the slag. So if there was any gold in there, it should be in that little button of lead. I guess we'll have to Cupel it and see. But let's weigh it first. Okay, let's see how much of our lead we got back. So we started with 18 grams. 14.68. So we lost 4 grams. Possibly oxidized. I wouldn't be surprised. Okay. So what we need to do is we need to Cupel this and see if we get any precious metals out of it. So that's what we'll do next. Okay, it's time to Cupel down that lead prill and see if we've actually got any precious metals in it. So I have reconfigured my furnace for Cupelling. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to preheat the Cupel before I put the lead button or the lead prill in it, and that works better when you preheat it. So let me get this going. Okay, once this Cupel gets good and hot, I will adjust the flame on the burner to be more oxidizing, and we'll put the prill in. And we will oxidize it away and see what we got left. Okay, I'd say that's hot hot enough. Let's get the lead krill in there. And we'll get it started oxidizing away here. I hope you could see that what looks like film of oil on water. That's the liquid lead oxide on top of the bead of lead. And as it forms, it runs down into the cupel and gets absorbed. And then more forms and runs down. And then over time, the bead of lead's getting smaller. And pretty soon it'll all be gone. So that's how this works. We're oxidizing away the bead of lead and we'll leave behind any precious metals that won't oxidize. So there should be a little bead there when we're done. We'll see. Oh, it's really getting small now. How small will it be when it's done? Place your bets, gentlemen. Place your bets. I don't know, Jim. I don't know if there's going to be anything left. Getting awful tiny. We'll see. Okay, it's done. Here we are. And the news is not good. Sorry, Jim. That's not gold ore. As far as I could tell, there is no gold in it. I've exhausted my entire bag of tricks on that rock you sent me, and I haven't found the first trace of gold in it, unfortunately. There is a little bead of something left in here, but it's no bigger, and bigger I use, you know, loosely. It's actually quite small, but it's no bigger than what I would expect from the tiny bit of silver contamination in the lead I use. The lead I'm using has a little bit of silver contamination in it. Whenever I Cupel it down, just a chunk of lead, I'm going to get a little tiny bead like that of silver left over. So that's what we got here. There's no gold in that stuff. There's no silver in it. There's no nothing. It's basically iron is what you got there. So yeah, unfortunately. So I got more than half of the sulfides left that I haven't processed yet. But you know what? I think I'm just going to cut my losses at this point, and you know, stop burning up propane, stop using chemicals on this stuff, stop putting effort into it. Because as far as I can tell, Jim, there's absolutely no gold in that gold ore you sent me. I think you got it sold a pig in a poke, buddy. I hope you didn't spend too much money on it. So, okay. I hope you found this blind alley I went down at least a little bit interesting, educational, informative, whatever. Give it a like if so. And I promise, in future videos, there will be gold at the end. I promise. Some of my future videos, there will be gold at the end. So subscribe to see those future videos. And press the little bell icon YouTube wants you to press to be notified when those new videos come out. Because as a subscriber, if you press that bell icon, you'll be notified when I release a new video. Check out my second channel, Electric Geek 64. Good stuff going on over there, as always. And I will see you in the next video. Thanks a lot for watching this one. Sorry, Jim. No go. Bye.